Hello, welcome to the video. I'm Melissa, I write books. Welcome to a Q&A. I think the last time I did a Q&A was at 1,000 subscribers, which I think was actually about a year ago. And this one is for 3,000. So before we even get into any questions, thank you so much for being here. 3,000 is kind of a crazy number of people. But I'm so excited to have you for whatever you're here for. I'm going to do all of the writing related questions at the beginning, and then more of the Authortube ones at the end, because there's a pretty even split, I think. And you guys really came through with the questions. I think I have I have a lot. I did one on Instagram, which you can follow me on Instagram if you want. Alyssa Writes Books. I'm a little more active there now. Not a ton, but I'll throw something up every once in a while. I will. There's one question in here to start with that's actually not related to writing. Oops, I lied, but how old I am? Where did that question go? It's probably on YouTube, but I am 24. I'll just give you a little bit of basic information in case you're somehow stumbling upon this one. I am 24. I write thrillers. I am working on my 5th book. I'm on just about a draft 1. Oh, you haven't seen the vlog yet. It's coming out after this. I'm actually not working on my fantasy project right now anymore. I'm going back to Project Sunshine, which is a book I drafted in November. I've been around for about 2 years on YouTube, and that's me. Mostly vlogs, and sometimes I'll throw in a Q&A or a commentary or something random. I don't know. This one's sort of writing related. What is my favorite thriller or mystery rec? So here's the thing. I do write thrillers. I would say thriller is not the genre I read the most of, so I'm well read in thriller, but it's not my preferred genre just because I don't like to be so stressed when I'm reading. But I do enjoy thrillers and I do write them. I prefer fantasy or even contemporary romance are my 2 genres I would say I read the most. But I have read many thrillers just for the sake of market research, and I do enjoy them, obviously. Actually, I recently read The Girls I've Been, which is YA, but it's sort of centers around a bank robbery, but there's also, she has all of these past identities sort of situation, and she has to outsmart the bank robbers. I thought that was really good. I have not read an adult thriller in so long, actually, because I also don't really like reading anything supernatural or horror, and sometimes thrillers go that direction. Good Girls Guide to Murder, I know that book is the most commonly recommended YA thriller series of all time. I'm sorry, but I really did enjoy honestly everything that Holly Jackson has written, so big fan of those. Ooh, and Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Oh my gosh. That one gets a little sci-fi. Actually, it's very sci-fi, but masterclass on pacing. Masterclass. Okay, let's see what else we have. So what is your current writing process and how has it changed? This is a great question. So I'm not going to go super in detail. I do actually have a video. This is probably going to turn into one of those videos where I link a bunch of other videos, but I made one in October that was literally a complete from beginning to end at that point in time how I wrote. And overall, I would say I am a plotter, so I do plot out the beats. I use Save the Cat. I plot out what's going to happen. Usually I have a sort of a 5 or 6 ideas to work off of, and usually I have a trope or a type of scene I want in there, or maybe I know the twist. Usually I know something significant about the book, and then I plug it into Save the Cat, and then it's usually I'm making the outline and the characters at the same time because it sort of feeds into each other, and then I don't know, I just write the book. Sometimes I type, sometimes I use dictation, which I have many videos on this channel about that process, which is speech to text, which is how I've done my last 2 first drafts. And then after that, I usually do a second draft on my own, and then I send it to beta readers, and then I do a big round of revision, and then I send it to more beta readers, and then after that, I move into copy edits and line edits. I would say it takes me about a year and a half, I would say. About a year and a half to go from the idea all the way to the finished query ready book. So yeah, that's my writing process. And how has it changed? I think I used to be a lot more delusional. I used to think oh, I'm going to write one draft of this. It's going to be great. And now I am much more open to the idea that it's going to take longer and that it's going to take more drafts. I do feel I'm getting better with each book, and so hopefully it won't take as much time with each book, but instead of always wanting to be totally done with the book. I think of it more in bite-sized pieces. It's like, okay, now I'm on to copy edits. So I'm just thinking about the copy edits. I think about it more so in like, it's like a long game, and I'm not trying to finish the whole thing, like the whole book right away. But I just break it down a lot more, and like I have the drafting phase, and then I have the revision phase, and then I have the editing phase, And I think that's one way it's changed, is I've kind of accepted that it's a longer process than I want it to be. But that's always wanting it to go faster. Why the change from thriller to fantasy? Do you think you will continue to write a mix? So I mentioned this briefly. I wrote like 3 chapters of the fantasy book. I'm not like putting it in the garbage or anything. I'll probably go back to it for fun. My ideas typically come in the form of thrillers. And people also ask me like, listen, if you don't read a lot of thrillers, like, why do you write thrillers? It's because that's what my ideas typically like work the best in. I like there to be peril. Like what I love about fantasy is the reunions, like people being in trouble and people like there being high stakes, but I don't necessarily love world building or setting or like all those other things that go with fantasy. I mean, I enjoy reading them. And I do enjoy writing them, but like it's not as fun to me. Like I like working in the real world because I think there's a lot of danger in the real world too. So that's why I typically write thrillers. I don't think that's even what you asked, but I went to fantasy because I was getting a little bit creatively dry with thrillers. I have been writing, to just like put this in context, I started writing my first thriller in 2019, and I've essentially been writing a thriller since then. Like I wrote this will be my 4th thriller, Project Sunshine. I'm querying my 3rd book. Like I have written now 4 complete thrillers, and so and finishing up the last one was a lot of brain work. It was a lot of rounds and a lot of thinking and a lot of like making sure that all of the twists came together. It was just like really mind intensive. And so moving to fantasy, like a totally different genre where I felt like there was less pressure, that was the reason I went to fantasy, because I did start like earlier this spring. I outlined and like wrote a few chapters of a fantasy book, and I think I will probably go back to it at some point, but I don't think that fantasy is going to be my main priority at this point, because my big ideas come in the form of thrillers, and specifically my marketable ideas. And since I'm going for traditional publishing, like having a marketable pitch and book idea, it like really is essential. So that's my plan, is to do that. I will pick up that fantasy book. I'm not done with it. I think it's more so at this point though, like something that I work on when I need a break from writing thrillers. So yeah, I was thinking too of writing a contemporary romance that has thriller elements, but is more so a romance than it is a thriller. Because right now my thrillers have romance tropes in them. That's kind of been my thing for the last few books, is taking a romance trope and putting it into a thriller context, but I might kind of flip that around. Maybe not for this book, but maybe in the future. Do I prefer long writing sprints or quick ones? I don't really do writing sprints, honestly. If I'm doing a live stream or writing with people, I will do a sprint, but I typically these days write at coffee shops, honestly. And I usually have a set time that I need to leave. Like I typically write before work at a coffee. I get there usually between 6 and 7, and then I write until 8 when I need to leave. So I'll like take breaks to switch a song or eat a bagel or something, but I'm not really thinking about it in timed increments. But I will sometimes do sprints. I typically have like a goal that usually amounts to 45 minutes or an hour, but it's like, okay, I'm going to get through these chapters today, and I just sit and work on it. And if I need a brain break, I take one. But if I do sprints, I prefer shorter sprints, because when there's a ticking clock, I want to be like really locked in. And like a 45-minute sprint, it's hard for me to like really feel like I'm sprinting for 45 minutes. If there's this 45-minute sprint going on, I kind of treat it as like, this is the amount of time I'm working, and I don't need to be actually working the whole time, Oh, Anna asks, what's a scene in All's Fair in Love and Robbery, which is gas station, which represents the whole book? So I actually think this is a great question. I think the opening scene actually really sets the tone well for the book. If you don't know, All's Fair in Love and Robbery, or Project Gas Station, as I refer to it most of the time on this channel, is like the log line is a hostage negotiator with notorious bank robber parents, fake dates a robber for information, and also he's being blackmailed into robbing. It's essentially fake dating bank robbery. That's like the vibes. In the opening scene, the main character Cal is sort of coerced, tricked sort of into becoming a getaway driver for for an armed robbery at a gas station. Hence gas station, because his sister and her new boyfriend are robbing the store, and he doesn't know it, and he's apparently the getaway driver. And also our main female character like chases down their car, and he sort of like trying to talk his way out of it. He's like, so sorry about this, I promise I'm not responsible for this. And then he accidentally runs over her foot, but it's like they kind of have this bantery conversation through the crack in the window first. They also both are going on a date that night, but they don't know it. This is all in the log and the query of it, so it's fine if you know. They met on a dating app, but they don't know, like, and so they show up on the date, and Cal is like, oh, this is not good, but she doesn't recognize him. And that, I would say, is sort of the setup of the book, but it also really reflects like the tone of the book. I would say the book does take a darker tone towards the end, but the most of it is very like this. It's sort of funny, the situations they find themselves in, but it still has this like sort of adrenaline going through it too, I like to think. So that was the scene, I think, the opening. And I was very intentional about this when plotting. I was like, we need to open the book with a bang, and it needs to like really set the tone for what the book is going to be. So yeah, I love that question. Maddie asks, so when you query multiple books, do you re-query your new book with an agent that you sent the previous book to? And the answer is yes. So now this is my third book I'm querying, and I'm sending to many agents that I have queried before, most of them actually. And I feel like that's pretty normal. I'm querying anybody who represents thriller mystery, and I look at their manuscript wish list and I see like, as long as there's nothing to rule out my book, I will query them. A lot of people have in their manuscript wish list, which is like essentially a here's what I'm looking for kind of list that agents have. Like many people who represent thriller will specify that they don't want law enforcement to be the main character, which technically in mine, law enforcement is the main character. So that will sometimes weed an agent out of my list, but many of them I have queried multiple times, but I doubt they remember. They get so many. Sort of in the same vein, someone asks, why are you pursuing traditional publishing over self-publishing? So I am pursuing traditional publishing. I'm querying. That's the process by which one gets an agent. And I'm no shade to the person who asked this question. It's like the most common question to ask. Like everyone asks this question. And I just want to. I think that this is kind of a soapbox. I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with the person who asked this question. I feel like we are really interrogating people about like, why are you doing self-publishing? What are you doing trad-pub? Like, what's the difference? Which is better? Blah, blah, blah. And I feel like we are in a space in the internet right now where everybody has the capability to like learn about all the pros and cons of self-publishing and traditional publishing. Like, I think that information is widely discussed and talked about. So I think most people who have made a decision are doing so very informed, and they're doing so based on like what they want to do and which path seems right for them. Like, while I could give you a 5-paragraph essay about why I'm doing traditional publishing, I don't really feel the need to. This is just what I want to do. This is the path I want to take. And I feel like when people start to go into the like, these are the pros and these are the cons, it sort of makes it seem like I'm poo-pooing on self-publishing, which is not my intention. I just like don't think it's a conversation I want to keep having, honestly. You can keep asking. I mean, I don't care. But I know the pros and cons of both, and that's the way I want to go. So the main answer though, because I know you're probably still wondering, is I want to work on a team. Like I want to have industry professionals working with me on my book. And I also like the distribution. So yeah, those are my main reasons. Okay. Do I have a backlog of book ideas that I want to eventually write? No, I don't. I had a few ideas in the bank, but now I have used them all. And I didn't have one for Sunshine, and I did not have one for Gas Station. I really only had that like a wedding DJ would be involved in some sort of crime, which was the book, The Wedding Season, which I legally, I think I'm still querying that book, but kind of not anymore. But that was really the only like idea that was sitting in my head for a while that I knew I wanted to write. And I'm able to come up with story ideas and plot ideas, but I'm not someone who has like a list sitting somewhere. I'll sometimes, if I get an idea, I'll write it down, but it's typically not an idea for a whole story. It's typically like a setting or a situation a character could get into or something along those lines. And once I am like looking for a new idea, then I get a lot more, I would say, inspiration from just all around. And I kind of like it that way. Then the ideas that I have for books are more current and more fresh, I feel like. But I do like the idea of having one kind of marinating and developing. But that's just not really how my brain works. I just kind of, when I need a new idea, I can come up with one. But if I don't, then I don't really collect them. Consciously anyway. Sometimes I think my subconscious does. She's storing them up in there. She is. She's like, oh, there's another one. This one is kind of stressing me out. If I could fast forward my life 10 years and see my author career, what would I hope to see? Like, how many books have I written? What genres? Any other big author dreams? 10 years. Let's see. 10 years, I think I would like to, this is going to sound insane. I would like to have at least like 2 or 3 books out, I think is probably a realistic timeline. Maybe 5 would be a stretch goal. I would like to have a good like working relationship with an agent and an editor, and maybe slowly be building my credibility. Like, I don't have any expectation that in 10 years, well, maybe in 10, maybe 34. Like, I would say in 5 years, I would like to be like a mid-list author, you know? Maybe I'm not at every Barnes & Noble, but I'm at a few of them. Maybe people like hear about my books here and there, but I would like to be someone who builds like at least a 3 or 4 book backlist before anything. Like, I don't want to go like TikTok viral famous before like my caliber is up to that point, you know? I mean, I wouldn't complain. I'd like to have good sales. I could also see potentially being a hybrid author at that point, just depending on how slow or fast things move. I could see writing a different genre, maybe under a pen name, self-publishing, but I would in 10 years for sure like to have at least like 3 or 4 books out. And written, I would say probably 10. In 10 years, maybe 9 or 8. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Do I have 8 more books in me? Yeah, hopefully I do. Hopefully. But thank you for the existential dread. Love that question. Okay. Do I prefer drafting or revising? I think probably drafting, but they're close. Like, I enjoy elements of every part of the process, but I do enjoy writing a book much more once I have everything figured out. So there's some points in revising where I really love it, and when everything's going on and I can fix it, that part I really love about revising. But the early part of revising, which is what I'm in right now, where I don't actually know how to solve all the problems yet, that is my least favorite part. Oh, it stresses me out. Stressing. Have I ever shelved a project? No. I mean, I guess. I guess I have. You could count all of my books as shelved, but every book I've written, I have finished enough drafts of it where it has like gone through a revision and gone through edits, and like I would say it's complete for me. So I haven't ever like written a draft of a book and then set it aside forever. Is that true? There's maybe some in high school that I shelved, but I don't really count that, if I'm honest. So I don't really have an answer to how do I know when it's time. I did consider for a minute shelving Sunshine, which is what I'm working on right now. But upon reflection, I do want to work on it. But I think for me, if I were to shelve a project, it would be because once fleshed out, I realized the idea wasn't actually that good, and that even revising it wouldn't make it that great of a book. What are my thoughts on self-publishing? I ask because I feel as though most Authortubers are going that route, and I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are. I think self-publishing is great. I do think it is different than traditional publishing because, I mean, you're essentially operating your own business, and you hold all of the responsibility for everything. And it's much more of a business decision, I would say, than it is even a writing decision. I think it's great. I commend my friends who are doing it and anyone who is self-publishing. And one day I might. I don't really know quite yet. I don't think I would self-publish before traditionally publishing. I think I want my debut to be as a traditional deal, hopefully. And then if I did self-publish, it would be more of if I have time and have more, like I want to write more than like the industry pace, because TradPub's just pretty slow. And so if I wanted to get more books out in the meantime, I think I wouldn't tell you if I started self-publishing. I think I would use a pen name and I would never tell you about it. And not for any reason of shame. I just think, I don't know, I kind of like the idea of it, of like keeping that part of my career hidden. I don't know why. I've just always kind of thought that. Maybe I'm already your favorite self-published author and you don't even know it. My pen name is Cody Wayne Morris. No. Okay. Tanya asked about my drafting process. I feel like I touched on this a little bit because I mentioned that I am leaning away from dictation, and she asked, like, would I then go to coffee shops more? The answer is yes. I pretty much exclusively write at coffee shops these days, which I'm trying to not do that anymore. But I do like that I can just write and type wherever, you know. As you may be able to tell, it is many hours later. I went on a walk and had a moment, and here we are. So I think I left off. I think I covered most of the writing related questions. Let me just check to make sure. Yes. Okay. So that covers all or most of the writing related questions. And now we're going to talk about the YouTube side of things, because I got I think maybe even more questions about that. So yeah. This first one asks, if I wasn't writing, would I still be a YouTuber? Probably not. I don't really know what I would talk about. You know, I say that as though I actually talk about writing, which I do. I don't think so. Unless I had a different niche to talk about, which I don't know what that would be. But I don't think I would have like had the desire to make YouTube content without the writing, you know. That was never really a desire. So, well, this one's not about YouTube, but someone asks, are you training for another triathlon? How do you balance your 9-to-5 training, writing, and hobbies? Great question. I am not training for a triathlon right now. I haven't signed up for anything. But I am like biking and swimming. I'm not running because why would I do that? But I'm walking a lot, and I'm trying to bike and swim as though I'm training for one, because I really loved the actual training for the triathlon. The event itself, like the swim in the water was just like a lot, and I just like don't know if I need to do that again at this juncture. So I'm technically not training for anything, but I'm trying to like adopt the mindset that I am, so that I'm as consistent as I was last year, because I felt great when I was training for my triathlon. And balance, how do I balance? I don't know if I do. My 9-to-5 is very flexible, so there's busier periods and there's slower periods, and it's not a job that like takes up all of my mental energy and time after work. And so I'm able to like transition very quickly from work to writing, or from writing to work. But what's worked well for me recently is writing in the morning. So I typically write from between 6 and 6:30 to 8. And then I will occasionally write in the evening, like if somebody's writing, if somebody wants to write, or if there's a live stream, or if I am feeling inspired, I will write in the evening. But right now I'm just in the morning. And then typically in the evening is when I will like do a swim or a bike or go on a long walk. It's not very difficult for me to balance things, because there's not very much going on in my life besides this. And so there's not like, I'm not balancing this with school or with having kids or anything like that. So it's much easier to balance than it would be for honestly most people. So again, I say this often, but never compare yourself to me ever, because this is just a stage of life thing that I just have more time to devote to it. And so someone asks how long it takes to make a YouTube video. I did actually make a video like months ago. It did terribly, so you probably have never seen it, where I like live edit the video. I'll link it, I guess, if you want to check that out. I would say it takes me, well, it depends. Recently, my vlogs have been like 50 minutes long. And so those take probably, I would say 3 to 4 hours to edit. But like a 20 to 30 minute video, I can probably do in an hour. But I also have training in video editing. Like my job is a videographer and an editor. So I worked a job where like we specialized in like speed editing. So I do have a very specific background that helps me edit very quickly. Okay. This is a question I got in various forms, but how did you build your Authortube community? So I think this has been kind of a topic of conversation going around the interwebs since the writing retreat, which makes sense because it's a big step, I would say, to go from like commenting back and forth with people to like actually meeting and planning a trip and everything. But I feel like there's maybe this sense that there's some like magic formula, or there's some like truly the way to build community is like how you make friends, and in real life too is through with time and with mutual connection. Like, let's take one person, for example, Brielle. I had been watching her for a while, and I was commenting regularly. I commented on her videos for maybe like 3 months before, and she would comment back. And then about 3 months later, she started commenting on my videos. And I was like, oh, so we are like aware of each other. And when you watch someone's vlog, like I feel like you kind of get a sense of who they are. And there was one, like I think we followed each other on Instagram or something. The way I have made a lot of my friends, including Brielle, is then we like scheduled a live stream together. And usually that's after building a lot of rapport through like DMs or comments. And like what DMs looks like is like if someone posts on their story, I swipe up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so like just start like just talking to people, I guess. And then in a live stream, you kind of get to see how you would actually interact as people. And so it might not go like amazing with everybody that you meet with. You don't have to be friends with everybody, but then we like after the live stream talked for a while, and I think at a certain point we exchanged phone numbers, and then we just started texting and voice messaging, and we would do more lives together, and then we would and it just like it went from like colleagues commenting back and forth to more like we're streaming together more, we're FaceTiming, we're just chatting about our projects and our life, and that happened with a variety of people. And that's kind of how I've made all of my connections here, is by like I commented and engaged with their content, and they commented and engaged with my content. Sometimes I was on a live stream with somebody that maybe I didn't really know. Yeah, that's how it happened, but it didn't happen in like a month. Okay. Like I think sometimes there's this expectation of like, it's Authortube, we should all be best friends with each other. And while I'm like, I love the idea of that, and I love the community that we have and how we hype each other up and all of that, I think as with any friendship, it takes time to build connection and to build trust and rapport. And so it wasn't like one day I was watching Brielle and the next day we were going on a trip together. You know, it was months of talking back and forth. And that was like, honestly, most of the people on that retreat, and others, like there's other Authortubers who I talk to regularly as well. Meredith, I'm looking at you. It came from effort on both sides. And also I would just say your community doesn't have to look like how you see other Authortube communities. Like you don't have to have a group of 10 people that you're all in a group chat with that you go on a big writing retreat with. That doesn't have to be what your community looks like. And you don't have to put so many labels on it either. I would say like that is something that's helped me, is I don't have to like categorize all of my friends. And I don't have to like categorize how often am I talking to people and how often are people responding to me and all of this stuff. It's like, if you are a good fit, a friendship, like, and you both put in the effort, it'll work out. It's just like friendships in real life too, is if one person puts in all of the effort, it's probably not the best friendship, right? And it can be awkward at first. So I just encourage you to like push through. And I would say the fastest way to make community is to actually like talk live with each other. Doesn't mean need to be live on the internet, but like a FaceTime or a Discord, like voice chat, right? Like actually talking to people in a real way regularly. That's how you build community. I also think the timing is important too. Like when I was on Authortube for about 1.5 years with like very little community. I mean, I would comment back and forth with people, but wasn't like how it is now for quite a while. It was about 1.5 years. And then a lot of Authortubers joined at a similar time, or started making similar content at a similar time, and all sort of started live streaming at a similar time. So I spent a lot of time consuming content and then live streaming with like a cohort of people. I got close with those people, just kind of based on the timing. And I think that there's new cohorts popping up all the time. Like there's new people showing up. And also you don't want you don't want to be friends with people who don't want to be friends with you, you know? And so if it feels like it's really an effort and it feels like they're not really engaging, maybe that's not the best person. I don't know. I also think it's hard to be friends with everyone. And it's also kind of not a lot of work, but like being a good friend takes time and energy and effort. And so try to keep in mind, like when you're asking for community, it's also like you're asking a lot of that person too. And so be willing to like offer your own time and energy, and also be understanding if that person doesn't have the time and energy to give. Like I'm at a spot right now where like, obviously I'm always open to making new friends, but also working on this YouTube channel, I have like a lot of friendships that I've built in my, you know, like life in person, and then also my life online. I'm maintaining all of those relationships. I'm also writing books. I'm also querying. I'm also working my job. Like that demands a lot of energy. And so I don't really have, I mean, I'm not saying I don't have time for new friends. I want to be able to cultivate the relationships I already have too. And I feel like maybe that is something that we don't really talk about, is that like to be a good friend requires energy and effort. And so it's hard to give that energy and effort to a lot of people. Finding people who are like have the friendship availability that you do, I think is a great place to start. And I would say join Discords, be active in live stream chats. Like that's how it starts. That was a long answer. Okay. Someone asks, will you be doing live streams again? I am running out of the previous ones to watch. I think so. I think I am going to start doing live streams again. I used to live stream like 4 times a week at 6 a.m. Central Time. I don't really do that anymore. It became a thing where I wasn't being as productive during those times, and I was kind of burning out a little bit. But now I'm like, I was in a live stream on Brielle's channel the other day, and I was like I remember like being so productive, and like that was such a great group of people who would be live. And so I think I might be coming back to it. Stay tuned, no promises, but I don't think it would be the 4 times a week like it was, maybe once or twice a week. Because I also do love going to coffee shops, let me tell you. But I think I was at a point where I needed to change my environment to increase my productivity and my passion. So solid maybe on that one. There's like 150 of those live streams if you're looking for just delusional 6 a.m. Melissa. When did you start making writing related videos for YouTube? And why did you start? So I started January, February of 2023 is when I started, and I had always like sort of passively watched Authortube, and I started seriously watching it in the fall of 2022, that NaNoWriMo, and I was fresh out of college, and I was living on my own, and I was reading a lot, and I was writing a lot, and I also, you know, I have a video film background, and I was watching people's Authortube videos, and I was like, I could do this. Like, this could be a great way to motivate and maybe build a little bit of a platform. I know that like it's not necessary, but it could be helpful for my career. And I was like, I think I could do it. And I had a friend at a similar time who was like starting a chess YouTube channel. And I was like, what if we just started our YouTube channels at the same time? And so that's when I started. I started with a reading wrap up actually, but then the writing vlogs became my bread and butter. So that's what I've been doing. 2 years later, here we still are. There's 3,000 more of you though, which is wild. What is my favorite video I've ever made? This is so hard because I feel like all the vlogs run together. Like I don't really know. I love all my vlogs. I did a video really early on that was called Writing for 50 Hours. I did not write for 50 hours in a row, but it was over the course of like 2 weeks, and I just like tried to write. Like I just tracked how much I was writing, and I was trying to get through a revision. And so I was like, I'm going to try to do 50 hours in 20 days or something. And I really love like the editing and the style of that. Honestly, okay. I think my editing is better in my earlier videos. Not that my editing now is bad necessarily, but I was like really putting in the work. Like there are graphics on the screen, like there is transitions. I'm using the fade, and now it's like sometimes I will do that. But now my edits that I make are just to aid in the simplest, like to aid in clarity. I don't do a lot of like hardcore editing anymore. I would rather have like consistent video uploads that feel very authentic than spend a lot of time making the edits. But that doesn't mean that making a lot of complex edits is bad. Like I love watching videos that are beautifully edited. But I feel like that's not what people are coming to me for. Like I feel like people are coming just for like the vibes, you know, to sit down and chat and have a good time. Like nobody is really coming to my channel for like cinema, you know? And so I stopped really spending that amount of energy. Anyway, that is not the question. I did a couple of ranking videos back in the day. I ranked punctuation marks. I ranked writing advice. I ranked fonts. Those were fun to make. I also love a little like commentary moment every once in a while. Like I did a video a couple months ago where I put my query letter on Reddit and like kind of talked about the Reddit query space. I've done a couple videos, an editor reviews my query letter, like those kind of. And I also have talked about generative AI, which I wouldn't say those are my favorite, but I do enjoy talking about more important things too. But I don't know, I love all my videos. Like, you don't make me choose, okay? So those are just, let me just name 85 videos I've made. I don't know. I just love the daily vlogs. Like if you don't know, I daily vlogged this last November and the November before during the artist formerly known as NaNoWriMo. Those are so fun. Like just like as a unit, they're like kind of all over the place, but that was a good time. So feel free to check those out. Do I have advice for people wanting to join Authortube? It's intimidating. Yes, I have a lot of advice. Okay. Lock in. Okay. The first, just your basic advice is to just start, but also I would say think about what you want to get out of Authortube, or like what your main goal is. Like, do you want to track your progress? Do you want to have like a video journal to look back on? Do you want to build a community? Do you want to make commentary videos, make vlogs? Like, really investigate and interrogate, like, what do you want to make? You don't have to decide right away, but I think like knowing what you're doing and what you're wanting to do can kind of provide some clarity. I feel like a lot of people feel pressure to make vlogs, and they might think that like, oh, vlogs perform better than other content, or like commentary videos or tips videos perform better. And I will just tell you, I think all that's a load of baloney, frankly, because there are, in every style of Authortube, there are people who are incredibly successful. There are people who make tips videos who are incredibly successful. There are people who make vlogs that are incredibly successful. There are people who make like commentary about writing that are and people who make super aesthetic B-roll heavy writing vlogs who are very successful. There is not one like style of Authortube that is less successful than others. And I think there's kind of been a narrative going around about that recently where it's like only aesthetic coffee shots in writing vlogs are, and I'm like, no, stop it. Do I agree that sometimes it's hard to find traction and hard to find your community in Authortube? Yes. But I think we also can like all have a little bit of patience. What I have found is that if you are persistent and you are patient and you are making content that really resonates with you, you will find your audience. And I can't guarantee that you're going to get crazy views or that you're going to build the perfect community right away, but be authentic to yourself and also figure out what kind of video is going to help you with your writing. I make vlogs because it motivates the heck out of me. I haven't been vlogging the last week, and I can tell because I feel like garbage. I have no routines. I haven't been writing. And when I'm vlogging, I sit down, I put down the camera and I say, here's what I'm going to do. And then I do it. And it provides structure for my day. It provides this place where I can talk about what I love without boring the crap out of people in my real life. Like, it is an outlet for me, and it's also a place to document my journey and how I'm feeling throughout all these things in my life. So that's what I don't know. And also I was talking to somebody about this recently, and having like a package of a week of writing or of a draft, it helps you feel more valid in your writing for some people. Like when I make a vlog that's like finishing my book, it's like, yeah, and I did finish the book. And I did write this whole week. It helps to like validate, like, yes, I am a writer. But if that's not a style of content that aids your writing, you don't have to do it. Like you could make like a podcast style video about all of your thoughts about certain things. Like, and if you're just starting out, like just go with your gut, pick one that you think will work. And try it a couple times. And if it doesn't work, try something new. But don't define if it's working or not by how many views you're getting, because I will tell you, I have probably 100 vlogs that are very, very similar to the vlogs I make now that are sitting at 200 views, which is nothing to sneeze at. But that never reached over 500, that never like got the traction or the like engagement that I'm getting now. If I would have had the mindset then of like, if I'm not getting 1,000 views per video, that means I'm making the wrong style of content, then I never would have gotten to the point where I am now, where like my vlogs are reaching people, right? Defining your success and if you're doing a good job or you're doing the right thing on Authortube is not about the engagement that you get or the stats that you get. It's about, is it helping you? Is it fulfilling for you? Is this the kind of content that you are proud of and you want to make? But also I will say, you don't have to join Authortube. We would love to have you, but you don't have to join if you don't want to. But if you want to document your process, if you want to do that, like just do it. A great way to start is just do the Authortube newbie tag. I think I did it. Maybe I'll link that video too. I don't know. I'm just going to be linking. Future Alyssa hates me right now. The one who's linking all the videos. Something to be said. You can definitely start on your phone. You totally can. I would maybe do a little bit of research on like how to maximize your phone's quality. So like sitting in front of a window can really help with your lighting. Making sure that you're like close enough to your phone where the sound is good. You know, like you don't have to have amazing movie star quality, but I would maybe do a little research to just make sure that, you know, with the equipment that you have, that you can make it the strongest you can be, because having a certain threshold of quality, I feel like is just helpful for making you feel good about the video. And then also for, you know, attracting more people. That's my advice. I don't know if that was super tangible or helpful. Joy asks, when did your love for a good whiteboard begin? I have had a whiteboard. My mom tells the story of finding me at like 13 in my room, and it wasn't a whiteboard, it was like a poster board, and I had like all of these sticky notes and I was writing, and she always tells the story. She's like, I don't know where she learned how to do this, but I was like plotting a novel essentially visually, and I found that board the other day. I'm like, sis, girl, I'm not a visual, like I'm not good at like the visual stuff, but I like to have like a big board so I can see everything and like organize everything and write everything down. And also I think having a whiteboard makes you feel more professional. Like that's why I get the fancy keyboard, and that's why I get whiteboards galore, and why I have a fancy timer and a candle. It's not because those things make me a good writer, but it's like me validating to myself, like, yes, you are a writer. Yes, you are doing this thing. Yes, you are worthy of this, you know, like you are a writer, you know? So that's my origin story with the whiteboard. I don't think I got to like every single question, but I think I kind of covered every general topic, and this video is an hour long, isn't it? Good Lord. But if you have any other questions, I can maybe sprinkle some into the vlog I'm filming right now. But thank you so much again for 3,000 subscribers. That's absolutely bananas. Take care of yourself, please. Keep writing, keep going, and I will see you so soon. Bye. Oh, wait, drop me 3 emojis down below. You get to choose. Choose wisely. I'll be looking. I'm going to rank them in order. Okay. I'm going to start the best one. So choose wisely. Okay. Bye.